Hi, I'm Jim with Pour the Juice, and in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about something that's kind of important to me, at least. I think it is important to most people who collect whiskey, collect bourbon, and who want to drink better bourbon, even, and to kind of understand differences in different types of whiskey. And the topic, obviously, if you're clicking on the video, you read the title, is what's the difference between good whiskey and great whiskey? And that's a tough thing for even, for me to kind of dive into as is. Because I love pretty much everything, but there are some distinguishing factors between good and great whiskey for me. Um, I love, I'm a tater at heart. I love Buffalo Trace. I love most of what they sell, if not everything that they sell. But I do recognize that not everything they sell is great. Um, I wouldn't call Buffalo Trace itself great. I wouldn't call Blanton's great. I wouldn't call E.H. Taylor great. Um, some of their higher end stuff, absolutely. Um, you know, Stag, George T. Stagg, some of the Wellers, H. Taylor Barrel Proof, those are all great whiskeys. So what's the difference there? Like what separates good from great, at least in my eyes? Because it won't be the same for everybody, but in my eyes, what is the difference there? And off the bat, some people are going to say, well, you just named a bunch of 90 proof whiskeys or 100 proof whiskeys, and then you named whiskeys that are 130 proof or 120 proof. So that's where you're getting your standards for good and great. And I think to some point that's correct. I enjoy a higher proof whiskey. So there aren't too many 90 proofers that I would consider great whiskey. Um, but there are a lot of high proof whiskeys that I would consider good whiskeys. They're not all great. And so I wanted to dive into that a little bit using one of my favorite brands in the world. Uh, it's Barrel. This is Barrel Bourbon batch number 35. This is a good whiskey to me. This is a very good whiskey. I enjoy pretty much everything that Barrel puts out. I don't think I've come across anything that Barrel puts out that I don't like. Um, and some of their whiskey that I have that I've enjoyed are great, are fantastic. One of the bottles that I own of theirs, in my mind, is the best bottle of whiskey that I've tasted and that I own. But there's also some stuff that's just good. Like I think this bottle's good. And one of my favorites that they make is also the New Year's batch. This is the 2024 New Year's batch. And I think this New Year's batch is great. To me, this is great whiskey. Verging on, maybe not phenomenal, but it's great whiskey. It's better than good. And this great whiskey is 113 proof. And this good whiskey is 117.5 proof. So what is it that differentiates those two things? I think there's a few factors that go into it, but I do want to kind of taste these side by side to kind of pick some greater parts of it apart. One of those factors that's fairly obvious to me, and to most people watching this, is going to be age, right? So this is a 6-year age statement on batch 35. And I don't think there is an age statement on the New Year's blend. Because if there was, they would have to say 5 years, because there's a ton of different whiskey in here. 8 different states go into making this blended whiskey: Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, Ohio, Wyoming, Texas, Maryland, and New York. And the blends range, it ranges from 5 years to 11-year-old whiskey in here. But we still could say it's very possible and probable that the whiskey on average is older in this bottle than it is in the normal batch 35. Even though it doesn't specifically say what bottles go into it. So that's one of the things that kind of can differentiate between good and great whiskey. Another is obviously the whiskey that goes into it. If you don't like MGP, you're not going to like MGP whiskey no matter what proof it is, and probably no matter what age it is. I know there's a lot of people that dislike Dickel because they get the Flintstone vitamin taste. It's never really bothered me that much, but if you hate that flavor, you're probably going to hate most of what they put out, which is why people don't like their 15-year-old whiskey. But putting that aside, because that's preference, there is a little objectivity that goes into good versus great. And I think a lot of that has to do with balance, which is really where I'm going to lead this video to, because I think that's going to be the biggest differentiator between these two bottles. I don't think there's a big difference in age. There might be some slightly older stuff in this bottle. The proof lands in batch 35's corner by, close to 10 proof. So what is it that makes the big difference? And I just named all the whiskeys that are in here. So there's Dickel, there's MGP, there's whatever you may think. There's probably MGP in here too, probably Dickel in here. It's a very good whiskey. There's notes of caramel in that. There's lots of vanilla. There's cherry. It's a great mouthfeel and a great finish that's still ongoing right now. It's a very good whiskey. It does land a little bit bitter at the very end of the finish. But this is going to lead to my last point as well. Great whiskey completely outshines good whiskey when compared to head-to-head. It always has for me. There's a large difference between these two bottles when you directly compare them. This just has a lot more fruit in it. It's easier drinking, possibly because of the proof on it. It has better texture. It's more candied. I wouldn't even necessarily say there is more age on the palate of this whiskey. It's just more pleasant to me. It's a great whiskey. It's exceptionally balanced. And it leads to a better drinking experience, in my opinion. Now, that's not going to be the same for everything. I'm sure there's some batches that are great as well, but this is just my opinion on these two specific whiskeys. Barrel batch number 35, Barrel New Year batch 2024. And I think the difference between a good and a great whiskey are a culmination of quite a few things that it's very difficult to pinpoint. And there probably is some bias in there as well. The blend, the whiskey, the age. There's a lot of factors. It's not just one thing. But this is great whiskey. And this is very good whiskey. And unfortunately, I don't have a concrete answer for you. I didn't think I would. Going into this video, I had some ideas on where I wanted to go with it. And unfortunately, there is no one good answer. It could be in simple terms of great whiskey is just better than good whiskey, but that doesn't help anything. I think balance is probably the most important part here between these two, at least. The whiskey is definitely a big part. The blender, huge part, obviously, in something like barrel. But what a whiskey. Well, I'm going to stop the video there. I apologize if it wasn't as concrete as you were hoping it was going to be. But I did want to start a conversation on what good versus great whiskey is. And I'm hoping that you'll comment below on what you think the biggest differentiators are for you with good and great whiskey. Because I want to know what you think. Is it age for you? Is it proof? Is it that Buffalo Trace has those fruity notes in mostly all of their products? So you consider those great compared to, something like a Beam product that is going to be a little bit more earthy, more peanutty. What do you think? What makes a whiskey great compared to good versus good, I should say? Can't wait to hear. Thanks for watching. Cheers.